Like and subscribe right now. Or else this will be in your bed tonight. Wasn't even convincing at all, but it totally did the job, ha ha ha. Just made me realize how gullible kids can be. What is just a placebo effect but most people don't realize? Worked at a camp. The infirmary would give campers homesick medicine. Pretty much Gatorade and sugar. That stuff worked wonders. Some parents blew up and thought we were lying and brainwashing kids, so they got rid of it. Herbalife and similar products. The people I know who talk about how great it is don't understand the real reason they are losing weight and feeling better is because they completely changed their diets and eating habits. If you replace an unhealthy meal with a shake, what you're really doing is cutting out calories. This is what's making you lose weight, not any magic stuff in those shakes. I am not a big audio geek, but I have been sitting in and assisting with running sound at my local church. I am learning a lot. One of the guys who knows a ton about soundboards was telling me that the band members are notorious for complaining about imaginary things. When this happens, he grabs an unactivated knob on the soundboard and stares at the guy in the eyes as he moves the knob. 95% of the time, when he asks if it is better, they will say yes, and won't complain about it again. When my niece was about 4, she was terrified of monsters under her bed, under the couch, in her wardrobe, inexplicably, in the toilet. Her mother made her up a little spray bottle labeled Monster Spray and filled it with water, which is the finest monster repellent money can buy. Now she can get rid of monsters anytime she likes. 2 quick spritzes and they won't come anywhere near her. This obviously has nothing to do with placebos, because monster repellent is legit. I just wanted to share. The bias placebo. It's a very simple concept where someone allows a certain bias, as in an idea, to create a placebo effect. For example, you may have a bias that fish taste nasty even if you have never tried it, so when you finally do, the placebo effect kicks in and ruins it. This is very common and comes in many forms. It's always self-inflicted and is easily fixed. It's so common that people can have this happen nearly day to day depending upon the bias and not even know it. My son was an army medic. Sometimes soldiers would complain about aches and pains, but he knew there wasn't really anything wrong. Worry, boredom, homesickness, and anxiety often comes through as physical symptoms. He still wanted to help, so he would give them plain old aspirin. He'd put a few tablets into a little envelope and casually warned them that the medication was pretty strong, telling them to take it exactly as directed. He said it was amazing how often a guy would come find him and say, "Doc, those pills you gave me worked. Pain is gone and I slept like a log." There's nothing fake about a placebo. It's a very useful medical tool. When my daughter was very young, I had to leave for work for a couple of years, only coming back once a month. My daughter started to have nightmares, so I bought a teddy bear that I gave her and told her he would keep the nightmares away. Years later she asked me why it worked. Because you believed me. To a certain extent, alcohol. Many of the behaviors associated with drinking, aside from direct physical effects, come about through learned behavior, environment, and cultural conditioning. There have been hundreds of studies where college students are unknowingly given non-alcoholic beer in a bar-like setting, yet after a few they behave like they are buzzed. However, that doesn't happen when given non-alcoholic beer in a classroom setting. I noticed this when I didn't drink. I went a solid 2 months sober and would be my friend's designated driver. I'd still hang and drink water, or if the bartender was nice they'd give me soda, and just hang. But I'd still feel that drunk feeling in a way. Read up on this. Oddly happy. My mom had a friend who was super into magnets curing everything. I broke my finger at the beginning of basketball season my junior year and this lady was certain that magnets would help. She ordered a special magnet sleeve thingy, but in the meantime just gave me a flat malleable magnet to put in my splint. I figured what the hell, it can't hurt, so I wrapped it up on the outside of my splint between the plaster and the ace bandage. Took it out after a few hours because I swear my finger was hurting way more than usual. It was like a reverse placebo effect. I never used the magnet again and never saw the finger sleeve. Still, my finger healed freakishly fast. Maybe those 2 hours made a difference. Or, I lucked out and the ER doc did a next level awesome job of setting my finger so it didn't have to be reset by the specialist. And I was young and healthy. I'm not sure that this is entirely a placebo effect, but I feel like the entire anti-MSG propaganda is based on a lot of placebo effects. As an example, my father-in-law is absolutely convinced that he can tell when a restaurant uses MSG and that we must avoid them at all costs because he gets very ill when he eats MSG. He supposedly gets severe headaches and doesn't feel well for an entire day anytime he eats at a restaurant that uses MSG. Meanwhile, he eats instant ramen several times a week which is loaded with MSG and yet he feels absolutely fine. I've yet to point this out to him because he's not the kind of person to learn something then realize the mistake. So it's not like he'll be like, oh, I guess I've been eating MSG this whole time and I've been fine, I guess MSG isn't entirely bad. But rather all of a sudden realize that the next time he eats instant ramen he'll feel sick because he's now aware it contains MSG. So yay, I'm gonna say MSG? And the resulting negative effects is simply the result of eating high levels of sodium. I'm not a nutritionist and don't have any scientific data to prove that MSG has negative placebo effects, but I do feel anecdotally I've seen plenty of people succumb to this. Edit, lots of people have kindly pointed out that this is an example of a nocebo effect, not a placebo effect. When I was about 6 or 7 years old I woke up in the middle of the night to a giant daddy long legs on the wall right above my head. I ran out of the room absolutely terrified and told my mom I would never sleep in there again because the spiders were going to crawl all over me as soon as I fell asleep. I guess after 2 nights of sleeping on couch cushions beside my parents' bed, they had enough and decided to figure something out. They went out and bought special spider spray that would keep all of the spiders away. There was a tiny little hole in the drywall at the top corner of the ceiling, and I told them that's where they were getting in and they had to spray there. So my mom sprayed the spider spray in the hole and plugged it with tissue paper, and then sprayed all over my room. I remember it smelled really sweet and my mom said it was because spiders hate sweets. Then after I was satisfied with the level of spider prevention, my mom put the can under the sink in my bathroom and it was long forgotten about. Fast forward 12 years later, I've moved out and my parents are redoing that bathroom. They asked me to come over and grab any stuff I still wanted. I'm rummaging through, and I pull out an air freshener can with little holographic Halloween spider stickers all over it. My mom starts laughing and tells me that that was my special spider spray. I was completely floored, ha ha ha. I had actually never caught on. I thought it was genuinely spider spray when my mom had used it, and now I was looking at a Glade can with Halloween stickers all over it. Wasn't even convincing at all, but it totally did the job, ha ha ha. Just made me realize how gullible kids can be. Any sort of cleanse. You do not need to detoxify your body. Your kidneys and liver do a great job of that. If you really had so many toxins in your body, you would be deathly ill and in need of hospitalization. You do not have 10 pounds of toxic sludge chilling in your intestines making you sick. You probably do have a few pounds of food at various stages of digestion, but this is normal and healthy. Digestion is a process that takes time, so if your undigested food moves right along and didn't spend any time sitting in your digestive tract, your body wouldn't have the chance to extract the energy and nutrients locked in that food. Constantly crapping your brains out, like a cleanse makes you do, is not healthy. If you're having regular bowel movements, your digestive system is working fine. If you really do have pounds and pounds of toxic sludge stuck in your intestines, then you should see a doctor ASAP because you likely have a bowel obstruction. All hail Asparmus. All hail Asparmus. I have spent much of my time working with kids on overnight camps. I have occupied many roles, but because I keep my credentials up to date, I'm always one of the grown-ups who is on first aid duty. While the first rule of first aid is to take it seriously, when a kid is limping because their group is due to hike up a mountain tomorrow, Alhelus Sparmus works a charm. Other situations it works in: kids are crying because they got hit by a ball during games, or are homesick so have a sore tummy. It is aqueous cream with a small amount of eucalyptus essential oil, which has a warming effect and makes it smell medicinal, and it works beautifully. Because of the take everything seriously rule, you do rule out if there is a dangerous injury before you pull out the Alhelus. But since we are so super serious throughout, the kids truly believe they are getting proper medicine. Typically you have the kid in the office, having ruled out the possibility of hospital, doctor or camp nurse, and it's definitely an Alhelus job. You very seriously tell the kid you have a strong cream that will help make them feel better. You pull out the Alhelus, which you need to keep in an official looking tub to keep up the appearance, put on latex gloves and then rub it into the sore place. Of course, rubbing anything that is sore makes it feel a bit better, but at this point, the kid probably needs attention and a bit of feeling special, and like they are being taken seriously. Then, once you've rubbed it all in, you look at your watch and say now, you should start feeling the effect in exactly 2 minutes. You explain that the powerful cream needs to be activated by the air. The eucalyptus soil's thermal properties are helped by airflow, so you need to move around to get new air around it. 90% of the time, the kid is back up and running around with friends in no time at all. The other 10% probably need a hug. Like and subscribe for more r/ask Reddit videos.